So would you guys stand with us and join us in these next few songs? Let's get those hands going. I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I've tried high. It was my turn till I met you. All right, here we go. When you called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Your freedom is all that I know. The old man knew Jesus when I met you. Oh, when you called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your rescue. My sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan. Now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open. 'Cause when you call my name, what do we do? I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day.
Amen. Well, we're so glad you guys are here today. We're super excited to teach you a new song this morning. And I know that it's a long weekend, but it's okay. Stick with me. We can do this. Really, this song is such a beautiful picture and just about the story of Jesus from the very beginning up until now, up until what he's going to do in the future. And I think that, when we're singing these songs together, whether it's together on a Sunday or at midweek or alone in our car or wherever it may be, it's so important for us to sing out these songs because we're singing out truth and we're singing out the story of Jesus and the love of God that he has for us. And it's so easy to forget all that stuff. And so when we sing it out, it reminds us, it helps to keep it fresh in our minds as we go through our lives. And so this song is probably new to a lot of you. If you don't know it, you can just listen and start to sing along when you catch on. But just, I really hope that this can be a moment of worship for us as we sing out praise to the Father, to the Son, to the Holy Spirit because of what he has done for us from the very, very beginning of time. So let's sing this together. We were waiting without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. To the other side, knowing this was our salvation. Jesus, for our sake you died. Let's sing praise the Father. Praise the Father. Praise the Son. Praise the Spirit. Three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. In the morning that you rose, all of heaven held its breath till that stone was moved for good. For the Lamb had conquered death, and the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe for the souls of all who come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born, then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not kneel, shall not faint. By his blood and in his name, in his freedom
around these walls. I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. Still in your hands, this is my confidence, you never failed me yet. I know the night won't last, your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Oh, yes it will. Promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. Still in your hands, this is my confidence, never fail. Promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. Still in your hands, this is my confidence, you never failed me yet. No, you never failed. Voice in this room, sing, I see you move. I see you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I see you do it again. I see you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I see you do it again. Made a way where there was no way, and I believe I see you do it again. I see you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I see you do it again. I see you do it again.
All right. I tell you what, Mish was right when she said, I hope you heard her say, you know, we sing these songs sometimes Because we need to be reminded. I don't know if you're like me. Anybody forget this week that he can do it again, that he's with you? You're going through a valley, you're going on a mountaintop, wherever you are. It's like God is still here, and sometimes we just need to say that over and over just to go, oh, yeah, I forgot it. He's still here. Go ahead and sit down. I'm going to say hi to you. My name's Dave Wilson, and I'll tell you what, I was over in Brazil last week doing a marriage conference, and I was so blown away by the musicians and the music there. I was like, wow, these people are unbelievable. But hearing this band and these singers, am I right? They're as good as any Brazilian band anywhere in the world. It was like, wow. So anyway, really glad to be back, and I'll tell you a little bit about that trip later in the message, but just want to say you're welcome. Welcome to be here, and I don't know why I said you're welcome. You're welcome, because I don't know what I'm thinking. I want to welcome you if you're new here to Kensington, and some of you are brand new today on Labor Day weekend, or some of you in the last month or so, but we have a place in the lobby, you might have seen, it's called The Hub, and it's a place where you get to connect here and take your next step here, and we'll help you figure out if you want to make this your church home. So that's called The Hub, and then right beside The Hub, I'm going to bribe you with something today, because we have another table there where we're not only going to invite you to join and help us out in an area of our Kensington Kids Wing, but we're going to give you chocolate if you come out and say you might be willing to serve in the Kensington Kids Wing. We are a little short-staffed in our Kensington Kids. I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about as we go into the fall. We got a lot of people coming, and we need people to help out. And if you say, hey, I love kids and I want to help out, that doesn't mean you do it every week. Maybe once a month is all you need. But if you go out there and ask questions, I'll give you chocolate. Anybody want chocolate now? No, you know what? I'm not giving you chocolate unless you go out there. No, this is grace. Everybody gets chocolate, okay? It's Labor Day, and we're really, Labor Day weekend, really glad you're here. So that's it, The Hub. And then if you, and we had like 5 or 6 people sign up last service, said, man, I'd love to help out because I love kids and want to serve, so maybe that's you as well. Last Wednesday, I don't know if you were around, but we had at our Troy campus what we call our leadership gathering, which is when all of Kensington comes together. Some pictures of what happened that night. It was just a phenomenal night. Number one, all of Kensington's together, not just one campus, but all of our campuses, and we talked about unity and the future of the church and how God wants to move in us and through us as we're unified as one church with all churches around the world to make a difference. It was a powerful night. And then we go into this week, so you know this, we're starting the fall season. I mean, everybody knows the greatest time of the year. Football started yesterday. I mean, come on. College football, your team win? Yeah, everybody's team won. It's the beginning of the season. Everybody wins, and then we find out if they're any good. But it was fun to see Michigan State, Central Michigan, all these teams playing. And so we do the same thing. We sort of kick into the fall. So here's what you need to know. This coming week, Tuesday night is for 1829. 1829 is people between the ages of 18 and 29. We actually call our ministry 1829. How's that for a name? It's very clear. If you're in those ages, you're welcome to come to this. They normally meet on Thursdays. They're switching that to Tuesday nights, starting at 7 p.m. at our Troy campus. So that's Tuesday night. And then Wednesday night here is our midweek, our first midweek of September. And we invite you to come back to that at 7 p.m. And I got to tell you something. Don't miss this one. A big announcement's coming about our midweek, which will be Wednesday night. And then Cody is preaching a message that I feel is right for our campus for this time. It's a word for us, especially as you walk through valleys. How do you walk through them? So it's really going to be a great night. So again, that's Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And then next Sunday, we start a new series. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about Labor Day and how to approach our work. But next Sunday, we start a series called The Color of Your Dishes. And you're like, what in the world does that mean? Well, watch this.
Who knows the color of your dishes? Who has pulled up a chair and shared a meal on an ordinary day? Jesus didn't just tell people to meet him at the destination point. Instead, he walked with them, broke bread with them, and shared life with them. So, whether you are in a position to give or receive guidance, let's put away the dinner party china and share what's real, ordinary, and authentic in our lives, even if it is chipped and mismatched.
So here's the whole idea that you probably just caught a little bit of. When you know the color of somebody's dishes, that means what? You've been invited to their house. You've had dinner with them. That's community. And this fall, we're going to talk about who are you doing life with in such a way that you're that close, where you're impacting them, they're impacting you to change the world. And I tell you what, God wants us to live in community. We're going to give you all kinds of steps to step into community during that series. So it's really going to be a great series that you don't want to miss starting next weekend. I tell you, don't come alone. Come with somebody you want to do life with, and bring them. And the next 3 weeks, starting next week, will be all on that. And then we launch into a series that I wrote on understanding the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. We're going to cover that in 5 weeks, and you'll know everything. Just kidding. But we're going to give you a quick overview of that. All right, here's the thing. We're jumping into the message in a minute, but I think we're doing pretty good. I mean, it's Labor Day weekend, so our numbers are usually lower because everybody's up north, but you and I are the committed ones, and we're here. But if you want to, when you stand up and say hi to somebody and give them a high five, move toward the front so you can get spit on by me, come on up front, all right? Go ahead, give somebody a high five, scoot toward the middle.
Alarm goes off at 6:15. Check your phone for emails and texts. Turn the shower on. Brush your teeth while checking social media. Take a shower. Get dressed. Check phone again to see if you missed anything. Make your bed. Enjoy your first cup of coffee. Eat a simple breakfast. Drive off to work. Listen to your favorite podcast. Stop at Starbucks for your daily grande-sized iced cappuccino with almond milk. Pull into your usual parking spot. Walk in work while trying to avoid a certain coworker. Do your work thing. Head out to lunch to your favorite sushi place. Post an Insta. Check on your favorite social influencer. Get back to work. Finish work. Stop at the gym. Pretend to work out for 45 minutes. Arrive at home. Get the mail. Throw most of the mail away. Wonder what's for dinner. Eat dinner. Clean kitchen. Catch up on texts. Watch your favorite show. Hit the hay. One more stroll down social media lane and fall asleep. Wash, rinse, repeat.
All right, how many of that describes your day? Some of you describes your day, just this routine, rote. You know, when I saw that very end, what was it? Rinse, wash, repeat. I thought of a show I've never watched, but I heard about Jersey Shore, where it was Jim Tan Laundry. Is that what it was? Am I right? Am I wrong? I'm dating myself. I'm not saying watch that show. I'm not saying that at all. I just know it was sort of this routine that they did the same thing every day. And it's really easy to fall into that. So today I want to talk a little bit about using Labor Day and sort of this weekend as sort of a moment where we can sort of start a new habit for the fall, and I hope for the rest of our life. And I'm going to apply it to the area of work or labor because it is Labor Day weekend. And if you go online and look up, okay, what is Labor Day weekend? You'll read that it's a weekend to celebrate work and our advancement of work in the U.S. But I think Labor Day weekend really is just your last chance to go north. That's what it is. Am I right? I mean, here's the thing. I've always said this on Labor Day and Memorial Day and July 4th weekend. I say the only people in the church on that weekend, us, are what we call, you know what I call them? Who remembers? 4 letters. We're the newcomes. Come on, you remember this, right? It's my little joke for the holiday weekend. The only people in the room are the newcomes. No cottage up north. That's us, right? If we had a cottage up north, we'd be there, right? Because especially this weekend, it's the last one. It's sort of the end of the summer, which I hate. Don't you hate? Doesn't it feel like the summer just went? And here we are. And so school starts Tuesday, and everything's sort of rolling back in, and the ministry season starts as well. And I got to tell you something. I've never experienced Labor Day weekend like I did this year. I never go up north. I'm usually like here working, and I don't have a cottage up north. I like to know people that have cottages up north. Well, on like Thursday, we got an invite, my family, and Cody and Jenna, my son and my grandson Bryce, to go up to some friend's cottage up on Higgins Lake. So it's about 2.5 hours from here. So we drove Friday afternoon, okay? This is the first time I've ever done this. 3 o'clock, we left our house. Don't ever do that. Trying to go. You already know, right? I'm like, where are all these people? I mean, there's no construction. We're just on a normal highway and we're stopped. We're stopped. Why? There's so many people going north. That's why nobody's at church. They're all up there, right? In fact, I'm looking at the streaming offense. That's even better. Let's talk football, baby. No, I'm looking at the streaming, what am I gonna call them? Audience, that's it, streaming audience. I don't know if you know this. There's like, on a normal weekend, 1,000 people stream, almost 1,000 stream our services. A lot of times from right here. This weekend, where'd you just go? That light just went off. 2,000 people. I'm looking at you right now. You're on your boat, you're on the lake, you're sitting in your cottage. I'm glad you're with us, all right? I'll be back there in 4 hours. I'm going back. I got up at 4:30 and drove from Higgins here, and I'm going right back to the Borgland's cottage and getting on that boat, and we're gonna wake surf again this afternoon. That's what I'm doing today. But I get it, man. It's like everybody's up there, and it was really fun. We got there Friday, eventually. It took a lot longer than it should have, and we got there, we got on this boat, and we did a little sunrise or sunset cruise with the Borglands, and the Shomers let us use their place. And so here's a picture we took Friday night. This is our family that was there. It's Cody and Jenna and Bryce, the greatest grandson in the universe. Of course, I have another one that's in Denver, and then Ann and I. And so that's funny. That's our moment there. It was just so serene. I'm like, wow, this feels so good. And then we're driving back, and we found out who the captain of that boat was. Here's the next picture. There he is. And he loved the steering wheel. That was pretty fun. And so that's where I'm headed back after the next service to go back there. So I get it. It's really a chance, but I think Labor Day sort of is that moment in our calendar where it's like, okay, the summer sort of is ending. Again, I don't want that to end, but it sort of is that turn as school starts and football season starts and the ministry season starts. It's a moment to start a new routine. We sort of showed you an idea of what a routine can be like. You can get in a habit that just rote. And here's what I want to do today. I want to talk about bringing a new habit or a new attitude or a new routine to your labor. Okay, now, obviously, as you listen to this obviously doesn't just apply to labor. We're going to talk about labor because it's Labor Day and it is sort of a celebration of work. But I want to apply it to your job, so I'll use that sort of area of our lives, work, labor. But this obviously applies to every area of your life. It's really an attitude, or if you want to think of it this way, a new habit. See, we get in the habit, I think we do this with our job. And again, there's all kinds of jobs. If you have any kind of work, labor, it's a blessing from God. I believe that. God, in fact, I wrote it in my notes. Just one overview thought is that your job is a gift from God. Now, I don't know if you noticed that, but it rhymes. You can never forget this. You should say this on your way to work. Not tomorrow, you probably have a day off, but on Tuesday, you just drive down to work. Don't say the old thing, I hate my job, I can't believe it's Tuesday, I'm going to work, I hate the people at my job, thank God it's Friday when it comes. I mean, we have all these phrases because we don't like our job. Here's what I would say, my job is a gift from God. Just make the D a B and it rhymes. My job is a gift from God. I'm kidding. But you get it, right? It says like, my job is a gift from God. Now, here's what I mean. We have all kinds of jobs. Doctors, plumbers, traffic people out there, stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads. Some of you are trying to find a job right now. If you have any kind of work or any kind of assignment in your life, I believe we should step back and go, wait a minute, this is a gift. I think I got this with my talents and skills. Yeah, that's part of it, but God has given you a blessing called work. Some people would say work is a curse from God. No, it isn't. It is a blessing from God, and he wants us to approach that job with an attitude. I believe a new attitude, not that I don't want to work. No. It's a blessing and a gift from God. So what's that mean? The way I work reveals my God. The way I approach my job, my labor, whatever assignment God has given me this day, this week, it reveals who I'm working for. See, if you're working just for a paycheck, it'll be revealed the way you work. If you're working just to make a product, which is Very important, but that's all that matters. You're gonna have an attitude that says people don't matter. But if you're working for a God that's bigger than a paycheck or a product, but is actually a Father who we just sang about, who loves you, you'll work with an intensity and a routine and a habit that will be literally life-changing. In fact, here's all I wanna do today. I just wanna give you 3 work habits that will transform your job. 3 work habits. And I say there, transform your job. I actually mean transform your life. If you and I brought this to our workplace, it would change everything. Now, here's what I'm going to say. If you call yourself a follower of Jesus Christ today, I believe the way you work should reveal to others that watch you work who God is. If you're not a follower of Christ today, I think you're going to agree with me. Man, people that say they're Christians, they should work in such a way that honors God, in a way they treat people, in the way they approach their job, that would reveal to others who their God is. I remember when I was coaching high school football for 12 years, I remember I had this one kid on the team one year who was super gifted and super talented, but a big loaf. He loafed all the time. So I was like sitting down and trying to motivate this guy. He's one of our best players, but he's never even going to get on the field just because he didn't care. And he just sort of showed up, and he didn't run sprints hard. He didn't know his assignments, just loaf all the time. So one time I sat down with him. I said, dude, you're one of our best players. Why do you loaf all the time? He said, what do you mean? I go, you don't bring any energy, no passion. You just don't show up. I said, tell me a little bit about your life. Here's what he said. I'll never forget this. He said, well, I come from a Christian family. He actually said my dad's a pastor, and we have a Christian home, and so I try to, follow God and do that kind of thing. Here's what I said to him. You won't believe I said this to him. I go, don't tell anybody on the team you're a Christian. He goes, what? I go, don't tell anybody, because you're really making God look bad. And I meant it. And I think that could be a high school football player, but I think a lot of us who work at places who loaf and don't bring everything we got to that job, it's almost like we are giving a bad name to the God we're supposed to be working for. So here's what I want to say. I want to inspire you, just as I want to inspire me to say, okay, what if Labor Day weekend was the weekend I said, okay, I'm going to bring a new attitude, a new habit, a new routine to all areas of my life, but let's just talk about the labor area this way, okay? So the first thing I would say this, I'm gonna give you 3 I's so you'll never forget it. 3 I's that are habits. The first one is this: develop the habit of intensity when it comes to your work. Intensity when it comes to your work. Now, what do I mean by intensity? What I mean by intensity is bring everything you got every day, every minute, every hour to your job. If you're a mom, do the best job you can be as a mom. If you're a dad, you're staying at home, or if you're in a workplace or teaching in a school, I don't care where it is. If you're an Uber driver, whatever your job is, bring everything you got. I don't know if intensity is the perfect word, but intensity in my is an attitude that I'm giving everything I got. I'm gonna do this job with excellence every day. And I know you're sitting there like, dude, I can't wake up every day like that and bring that to my job. Yeah, you can. You're like, you don't know my job. I don't. But you can do it. It's an attitude that says, I'm not going to do the routine. I'm not going to get up Tuesday and go, my job sucks. I don't know. No, I'm going to wake up Tuesday, and I'm going to do a different attitude so that by the time I get to the workplace, I'm bringing everything I got so I can do something really, really well at that workplace. It's really interesting. Some of you know that Ann and I and Don and Sue Anderson, our global director here, went to Brazil a couple weeks ago, and we spent 10 days there with church planners there. And they had a conference that they've been doing several years. And this year they decided to have a marriage emphasis. So they brought us in to do vertical marriage for, listen to this, 1,600 pastors in one convention and another 400 in another convention. So 2,000 plus pastors that represent tens of thousands of people in their churches. And marriage is really in trouble over there. So we were brought there to teach on marriage. First of all, at the church on Saturday, when we got there Friday, we taught 4 sessions at the church, and I preached Sunday morning, Sunday night, and then we went to the convention and we did, you won't believe this, 15 sessions by the end of 6 days on marriage. I said to Don at one point, I go, hey, Steve Andrews was here last year, right? Yeah. How many sessions did he do? I'm exhausted. He goes, he did 3. I'm like, what? So anyway, it was just unbelievable. Here's what I did not know. We get ready to do our very first marriage session at this church, and it was a all-day Saturday marriage conference for the church, and then we're going to grow from there. And so they introduced us to our interpreters because they speak Portuguese, right? So Anna was going to interpret for Ann, and Anna has a doctorate from Dallas Seminary. She's very educated and knows English really well. And then I had Timon, who was going to interpret for me. As we started talking about the conference, both of them look at us and go, hey, are you going to tell this story? I go, how do you know that story? They go, oh, we've studied your YouTube videos. We have a YouTube channel, Dave Ann Wilson, and they went there and watched all our marriage talks for months. They knew every story, and they wanted to know. We'd done our homework, and I said, you watched our videos? And they're like, yeah. Are you going to tell this story? Yeah. Okay, we're ready. Are you going to tell this? Yeah. Are you going to teach this? Yeah. And right away, Anna and I looked at each other like, oh my goodness. We are in the midst of people that take their job seriously. And I asked later, how much you paying them to do this? Nothing. I mean, all week, they were on stage with us every session, not for money. And I realized as I got to know them well, they're not doing this for us or even for the people in the seats. They're doing this for God. And I tell you, they were committed. I mean, they mimicked everything. At one point, one of the first sessions, I was making a point about husbands, when your wife's talking, don't be looking at your phone. You need to get rid of it. I threw my phone like that. Just get rid of that thing. Timon throws his phone down too. I'm like, dude, you don't have to do that. And he did everything I did. And so some of you might have seen, if you follow us on social media, Ann sent this video out. On Sunday morning, I was just preaching. Ann came up and did a little bit, but I did most of the message by myself. And so Anna was my interpreter. So she's up on stage with me. And I didn't plan to do this, what I did as an action, but I was preaching on being all in. Sort of this idea, bringing everything you got every day to your marriage, okay? We're talking today about labor, but to your marriage. And so I said, here's what it looks like. You can dip your toe in the water or you can jump in, right? So I jump off the stage. And guess what Anna did? I'll show you. She's committed. Watch this.
Você sabe o que significa quando você está integralmente comprometido com Deus?
It means you leap. You give him everything.
Significa que você pula.
Look like this. So she jumps off the stage, right? And the bad thing is I sort of made fun of her. I shouldn't have done this. I'm like, you call that a jump? You got to jump like this. So then Ann took a picture. I wanted her to do this. So I went crazy. I jump again way up there, and she takes her heels off. And she goes, and she fell into the front row. It was hilarious. But I'm like, this woman is committed. You talk about bringing everything you got to your job. I'm like, she's the perfect picture. She did that all week. Timon did that all week. These people are unbelievable. And I got to tell you, this all comes from a verse I learned in college. I'm a college athlete at the time. The guy leads me to Christ, a senior, by the way, named Bill, leads me to Christ, starts to pour into my life. And by the way, I knew the color of Bill's dishes. I'm not kidding. He invited me to a student married housing. I met he and his wife. We had dinner several times a week. I didn't realize it till later. It was the first time I'd ever seen a Christian marriage in my life. How a husband and wife treat each other unto the Lord. I'd never seen that. I was learning all that as I ate off their blue, cheap student housing dishes. Let me ask you, whose color dishes do you know? Who knows yours? You're going to find out about that next week. It's very important. He pours into my life, literally changes my life to the point that I'm here today. In 1 year, that all happened. So I'm over at their house, and Bill says, I've never been an athlete, but you're an athlete, and you're the captain and quarterback of this team. I think this verse could apply to what you do in practice and on the field. And I'm like, there's something in the Bible about sports? Because I'd never really read the Bible. And he took me to Colossians 3:23, which has become a life verse for me. It doesn't say anything about sports, but some of you know it says this: whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as unto the Lord, not men. Tell you what, you want to memorize one for this fall? Take Colossians 3:23. I highlight a couple words. What's whatever mean? It means everything. You work at GM? That's a whatever. You work at Kensington? That's a whatever. You're in your neighborhood and you're walking across the street to take some dessert to a neighbor who's going through something hard, or you're walking across the street to take their kid to school because they can't take their kid to school, or somebody's sick in your neighborhood and you're like, I'm walking across the street. That's whatever. Whatever you do, you can call it labor, you can call it not labor, you can call it secular work, you can call it spiritual work. I think it's all spiritual. There is no division. It's all spiritual. You think my job's more important than your job because I'm working at church and you're working at GM or Chrysler, or you're a plumber or a doctor? No, your job is just as important than mine. In fact, I said in Brazil, I'm jealous of you Those that get to work in non-Christian environments because you get to be the light there, and then I have to work with boring church people all day. So here's the thing. Whatever you do, look at it. Work at it with all your heart. That's the word intensity. Bring everything you got. Go for it. You don't dabble at it. You don't bring 60 or 90% to your job. Everything you got. Why do you do that? Because right there it is. You're working for the Lord, not some boss, not some CEO, not some president. Although they're wonderful people, and I'm glad you're working for him or her. That's honor. You honor them, but it's bigger than them. You're just like, oh, I'm working for somebody a lot more important than you. And therefore, the way I work, the way I treat people, the things I say, the intensity, the attitude, the excellence I bring to my work really, really matters. It's critical. In fact, here's what I believe. If you work like that, and that's your new routine, your new habit, the habit of an intensity and attitude says, I'm gonna give the best I got today. Every minute of every hour I'm here, and then you go home, you gotta do the same thing, by the way. What's gonna happen? People are gonna wanna know eventually, who are you working for? Nobody around here works like that. Who are you working for? They're gonna ask you. Because most people don't work like that, but people that understand they're a follower of Christ and they want to honor Christ in the way they work and the way they speak and the way they honor others in the workplace and in their neighborhood, they work differently, and it should be a bumper sticker to the world. In fact, it's more important than any bumper sticker or cross necklace or prayer you ever pray is how you work reveals your God. I'll never forget, I've shared this here before, but when we started Kensington at Old Troy High School, many of you don't even know, there isn't even an Old Troy High School there anymore. It's now a health club. But we used to meet there, and I've shared this, but in like first year, 18 months, I was at a restaurant in the Troy area, and the owner of the restaurant came over to me. He goes, you're Dave Wilson, you started Kensington, right? You and Steve and Mark. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I need to have a word with you. And it sounded like I was in trouble. I'm like, okay. And he goes, no, we need to go to a private area. I'm like, Ian's looking at me. She's like, what'd you do to that guy? I go, I don't know this guy. So we walk to this little hallway, and he pulls me back, and he goes, I need to talk to you about one of my employees that goes to your church. And I'm like, oh, no. What did this guy do, you know? And he goes, he's a young man. He's actually a busboy, and he works around here, but he goes to Kensington, and I know that because he's told us that, and I need to talk to you about him. And I go, okay, what'd he do? And this guy, I'll never forget, he goes, this young man is the best worker I've ever hired. He is the most considerate, joy-filled young man. He shows up early. He helps everybody. He does jobs that are not his job to help other people out. He brings a culture here and a joy here. I can't explain it. He's the best young worker I've ever had. He stays after everybody goes. He does stuff he doesn't need to do. He's always like, looking, what else can I do? How can I help? How can I help? I've never met a young man like this. And I go, wow, yeah, that's great. Because I thought I was in trouble. And then he looks at me and he goes, are all your people like that? That's what he said. I'm like, yeah, they're all like that. It's all because of me. No, I didn't. I was like, really? He was like, I want to hire more Kensington people if they work like that. That's doing your job with an attitude or a habit of intensity unto the Lord. You understand what I'm saying? That guy doesn't need to tell him about God. He is telling him about God every second he works. I'm telling you what, it is the greatest evangelistic gospel track you could ever give anybody. It's just work with an attitude and an intensity that says what I'm doing matters, but let me tell you something, what I'm doing matters not as much as who I'm doing it around, because it's about souls of men and women that God has placed you in to make a difference. You understand what I'm saying? It's that important. I remember in 2010, some of you remember this, when free agency came for the NFL, you can sign a player from another team if they're a free agent starting at midnight. I don't know if you knew this, but our head coach at the time, Jim Schwartz, was on the porch of Kyle Vandenbosch's house waiting for midnight to strike so he could ring the doorbell and be the first team to offer him to leave the Tennessee Titans because he's a free agent and come to Detroit. Anybody remember this? So we signed him in 2010. Remember, we're the team that went 0-16 in 2008? And not much better in 2009, so we have to change this. And so, you know, we signed Kyle. I'd never met Kyle, but I'm at practice the first day Kyle Vandenbosch is at the Detroit Lions practice. And I'm thinking, what's so good about this guy that our head coach wanted to be the first one there to make him an offer? And our head coach had coached him before in Tennessee, so he knew Kyle. Well, I found out the first day of practice. I'm standing off to the side, and they're doing practice, and here's what I see. It's not a tackling practice, but they run a play, and Kyle's a defensive lineman. He runs up. They all run up. They form up on the running back, and then they go back to the huddle, but not Kyle. I watched this, and the whole building watched this. He run up, form up on the guy, and then he sprint to the end zone and sprint back to the huddle and be ready for the next play. And we're all like, that was sort of weird. Next play, 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, whatever it was, to the end zone, back to the huddle, get in the huddle. He'd be ready by the next time the offense breaks it up, he's ready for the next play. He did this the whole practice, just boom, boom. And everybody started to notice, like, dude, chill. So I walked up to him in the locker room right after practice. Hey, Kyle, my name's Dave Wilson. I'm the team chaplain here. Glad to have you here, blah, blah, blah. I met him a little bit. And then he goes, and then I go, hey, I got to ask you something. Never seen anybody practice like that. Like every play, you do your job, and then you sprint, you come back. What is that all about? And he goes, I'll never forget it. He's 6'5" or something. He looks down at me, little bald dude, and he goes, well, I consider my job a gift from God. It's a blessing from God. And I believe he deserves everything I got, not just on Sunday, but every day of the week. So every snap, I'm giving him everything I got, because I don't know if I'll have this job in a year, but he's giving it to me now. So that's how I work. And I've been brought here to change the culture. And I'm like, yeah, that's not our culture. And if we started doing that, we'd probably start winning football games. But he was very rare, and I thought, there's a guy who gets it. He gets it. He believes his job is a gift from God. He wants to honor him even when it doesn't seem to matter. You know what that is? That's whatever you do. Even practice, even sitting in a study hall at school, it matters. Everything matters. I remember one time, the next Sunday was we got ready to go on the field. Kyle's eyes are red. Some of you know this if you follow the Lions back in the day. He used to put red contact lenses in his eyes on game day. And it was the spookiest thing you ever saw. Bald head shaved. He's just like, whoa. And I said, Kyle, what do you do? He goes, I want the guy across me to be scared to death. So I line up and just look at him and go, ah. And I go, it's going to work, dude. We're all scared. I don't even get near you. But anyway, here's a guy that I hope you go, if he could do that, you hear me here? For an NFL victory? Some of you think because I was the Lions chaplain for 33 years, I think that's really important. I actually don't. It's entertainment in a sport. It means nothing eternally. Do you get this? We have fantasy football. We have people get upset when their team gets beat. They can't get through a week. You gotta be kidding me. Here's what I think. It's important, whether it's the NFL or whatever you do, because the Lord is honored by it. And it's really important when you do whatever you do for him to make him known through your job. That's Kyle's. He's retired now, but that was his vision and mission for his job. And I think, man, if he could do that for an NFL victory, what could you and I do in our jobs that really, really means something? Really matters. All right, I'm never going to get through this. So that's the first one. Man, oh man, I could talk about this forever. Second one's this. First one's attitude of intensity. Second one's an attitude of integrity. Integrity really, really matters, and it really, really honors God. Somebody tell me what integrity is. A person that has integrity is what? A person you can trust. Yeah. In fact, it's really interesting. Many of you know this. The word integrity comes from the root word, which is a math term. Anybody know? Just think about it. Oh, yeah, integer. Some of you math scholars know an integer is a what kind of number? It's a whole number. So, well, it's so important about that. Well, there's whole numbers and there's fractions, right? A fraction's divided, right? A whole number's complete. It's one solid number. So what's integrity mean? A person that has integrity is a whole person. What's it mean? No fraction, no division. In fact, it means this. What a person says, what a person does is the same. You can trust their word because their life backs it up. That's a person of integrity. In fact, I would say this, integrity equals no gaps. No gaps, what do you mean, no gap? No gap between what a person says, person does. That's a gap. That's a person without integrity. Person with integrity, you can trust it. In fact, we live in a day and age where you can't trust anybody, can you? Some of you are old enough to remember back in the day, you could shake a hand on a deal and it's done. No contract, no lawyers. He gave me his word, she gave me his word, it's done. That's not going to be violated. But now there's so little integrity. There's 18 lawyers looking at every little thing because it's unbelievable. But you go to the Word of God and you find out integrity really matters. It says the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. What a word, duplicity. Do you know any duplicitous people? Yeah, you do. Their word doesn't match their life. They say, I'll be there at 5 o'clock, and you just roll your eyes like, yeah, we'll see. Because they're rarely ever there when they say, or they're going to call you back, or their check's really in the mail. They just say things they don't. That's duplicity, is I can't trust them. Now, here's the thing. You're thinking of people you can't trust. You know where I'm going to go, right? Is anybody thinking of you right now? You want to know if you're a person of integrity? You know how you know? Ask people to be honest with you. That's a hard conversation. Hey, dude, can I be honest? Can you tell me, when I say to you this, do you believe me? Hopefully they're like, dude, yeah, I trust you, your word. Because trust is built over time with a track record. And by the way, nobody's perfectly a person of integrity, nobody. We all lie at times. But you got to do the right thing when you misrepresent yourself. I remember when my oldest son, CJ, was like 6 or 7 years old. I'll never forget this. I can't remember what the situation was, but it's something like, do you have an orange? You took that orange, CJ. I didn't take that orange. He literally had it in his hand. And when I said that, he dropped it. And I go, you just dropped the orange. No, I didn't. I don't know why it's lying. I go, dude, you're lying. He looks at me, 7 years old. He goes, Daddy, would I lie to you? That's what he said. He looked at me, Daddy, would I lie to you? And I go, yes. Everybody lies at some times. I've lied before. Your mom, wow, she lies all the time. No, I didn't say it. But think about it. I don't know if you know this. I was reading John Ortberg's book about this, but the George Washington story about cutting down the cherry tree was a lie. The greatest story about integrity the country's ever known was not about real integrity. It was made up. Parson Williams told us that. It's unbelievable. So integrity is something we value, but it's something very hard to do. But I would just say this. If you want a math equation, I would say it this way. T plus W equals I. I always think of that. You know what that stands for? Talk plus walk equals integrity. Say whatever you want to say, walk it, then people are going to trust you and believe you. And I'll never forget, I was listening to a message, 3 or 4 years ago by a really great preacher. I don't know if you know Craig Groeschel of Life Church. Amazing man, amazing preacher. And he was talking about integrity, and he made this statement that he heard his high school tennis coach say. Don't ever forget this. I've never forgotten this. His high school coach told him, Craig, if you have integrity, it's all that matters. And if you don't have integrity, it's all that matters. Think about that profound truth. If you have integrity, it's all that matters. I don't have to wonder ever again, I can trust you. But if you don't have integrity, it's all that matters. It's that critical. And if you want to honor God in the workplace, you better be trustworthy. Now, what's really interesting is Craig told the story of why his coach said that. He's in high school. He's trying to get on the tennis team. He's like a freshman. He's one of the lower guys on the team, and he gets on, and they go on a tennis trip before the season starts and to play some matches. And he said part of their trip was the high school boys went and played putt-putt. And he said, we got to the 18th hole where you put the ball and it goes in the thing and then goes back to the clubhouse, right? And you don't get to take the ball home. And they all decided, or a couple of them decided, let's keep the ball. So you could go over and step on this thing and it would act like a ball went in there, but they took the ball and Craig stole the ball and put it in his pocket. So if we go back to the hotel and he goes, I'm stupid enough to lay on the bed, put my feet on the wall and start throwing this ball, this golf ball, off the wall. And the coach hears it and he opens the door and he goes, hey, Groeschel, where'd you get that golf ball? And he lies. Well, I brought it on a trip. He goes, no, you didn't. You got it from the putt-putt course, didn't you? That's the putt-putt golf ball, isn't it? He goes, I know it is. You're off the team. And Craig's like, what do you mean I'm off the team? He goes, if you steal a golf ball, you'll steal other things. You can't be trusted. That's integrity. You're not on my team. I will not let you be on my team. And Craig runs out the hallway. He goes, coach. And he said, this is when he said, integrity, if you have it, it's everything. If you don't have it, it's everything. And Craig said, Coach, I want to do the right thing. How do I make this right? He goes, you go back to the golf putt course, you tell him you stole it, and you give it back. And he did. And he let him get on the team. And what's really interesting about this story, Craig went on to play college tennis, and then in the summers in college, he would teach little kids tennis. And he said, one of the things I do is, I teach these little kids, and they're just beginners, and they can't really hit the ball, but at the end of practice every day, I would say, hey, if you can beat me up to 10 points, I'll give you this very expensive, really nice, my tennis racket. And he goes, they're never gonna beat me, they're terrible. I'd let him get up to 8, and then I go, whack, get on. Next one, whack, get on. He goes, well, this one day, this boy, we're tied 8-8. He said, I'll always keep it close, and I beat him. And then he hits one, hits the tape, and falls over. So he's like, one more point, coach, I got you. And he's like, yeah, whatever, you're not gonna do it. He said, I hit him with the ball, hits the tape, and does the same thing, and he beats me. And the kid goes, I get your racket. And Craig's like, no. This is my only really nice racket. So he says, I start to reach in my bag and hand him and then he goes, wait a minute. If you have integrity, it's everything. If you don't have integrity, it's everything. I made a word. I told him I'd give him my racket. So he didn't even do it. He goes, yep, I said I'd give you that racket. It's yours. And he gave him the racket. And there's more to this story I'll tell you at the end, because it's pretty interesting how this comes back years later. But here's the truth. Integrity is everything. And you couple your word and your life and your words and your life together with an intensity or an attitude that says, I'm going to bring the best I got. Let me tell you, you're going to honor God like anything. I'm out of time, but I got one last one I'll give you. It's another I word, and I can do it pretty quickly. But as I do, I'm going to take the offering right here while I tell you the last one. Now think about this. Why would I take the offering just after talking about integrity? Seriously, it sounds sort of cute. I'm not trying to be cute. Here's what I'm saying. If you and I say God is number one in our life, and yet our money never matches up, it's just words. And again, I am not trying to twist anybody's arm to get you to give to Kensington. That's not what this is about. I am challenging you, just like me, to say, if God really matters, it will affect every part of our life, more than just talk. It'll be shown in our wallet as well. So some of you are sitting there like, man, how do I give if I want to give? There it is. Most people here just do it online. They text 77977 and follow the prompts, and it happens real quickly. That's what I do. It's like I say one thing, I got to live it, not just with my money, but all parts of my life as well, and that's one way to do it. You bring intensity, you bring integrity, and here's the last one. This is a great one, intentionality. And I didn't even know if that was really a word, but when you type it in on your phone, it actually comes up, so I guess it's a word. That's how it works. But intentionality just simply means God wants to use you as a follower of Christ in your workplace or in your neighborhood or in your school, or wherever it goes, to be intentional, not just about doing your job, but why are you doing your job? It's for the intentionality of impacting others for the kingdom of God. I've said this many times. I actually taught this in Brazil. I love this passage, Matthew 5, where Jesus says, you are the light of the world. I highlight a couple words because when you look at this phrase, you are the light of the world, you have to remember this. He initially said he was the light of the world. He said, I am the light of the world. But now he's talking to his disciples, and I think you and I now, he's saying, you are now the light of the world. What's that mean? A city set on a hill, which many of you heard me teach this before. The words actually mean strategically placed. A city is strategically placed for people in the darkness to find light. He's saying you and I are strategically placed in our workplace to not hide, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. For what purpose? He tells us the next verse. And this applies to all of our life, especially our workplace. It says, let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. I love this. Let your light shine before men in such a way. What's such a way mean? Intensity, integrity. The way you come about your workplace, the way you come about your neighborhood, there's an attitude that I'm going to bring everything I got to do this as best I can. There's integrity in my life. People can trust me. You do that in such a way, they will see your good works, the way you work, the way you live, and they're not going to glorify you. They're going to glorify the one you're working for. What's going to happen? You're going to lead people to the kingdom of God, to Christ, through the way you work. Think about this. Some of you remember me saying this. 2007, we signed a free agent quarterback named John Kitna. All I knew about John Kitna was he had a reputation in the NFL as a bold, courageous, evangelistic man of God. In fact, first day I saw him, he had a big Bible, brought it in, plopped it in his locker. I'm like, that's going to be a little intimidating to people, but he didn't care. Boom. And many of you have heard me tell a story. First day of training camp, his first day as a Detroit Lion, puts his arms around me as we're looking at the locker room, and he says these words, I'll never forget. He goes, tell me about our ministry here. And I remember looking back at him thinking, he gets it. He gets it. Our ministry here, it wasn't my ministry, it was our ministry. And I was like, I didn't even, we talked about it later, but in that moment I knew he knows he's not here just to win football games, which we didn't, but he knows that. He's here because he's the light of God sent to this dark locker room to live and play and act in such a way that people will want to know his God. And let me tell you, it's a long story, but let me tell you, that one season, I honestly can't tell you how many games we won that season. I think 6 or 7 or 8. I remember we started out 4-0 and then it all fell apart. We didn't win a lot of games, but I can tell you this, we led 27 men and women and kids to Christ and baptized them in one NFL season. That's like a record in the NFL, I would guess, for revival. It's unbelievable. How did that happen? That didn't happen because Dave Wilson, the chaplain, was all of a sudden really good. It happened because one guy, and then Josh McCown, his backup, Dan Orlowski. I mean, I could give you a whole list of guys that just had the same mentality that I'm not here just to play football. I'm here to be intentional about living my life and playing and doing my job with intensity and with integrity in such a way that it's intentional that people are going to find Jesus through the way I work. And they did. And you think, that's in the NFL. That wouldn't work in my work. Oh, yes, it would. If you showed up Tuesday this week and you worked like you've never worked before, people are going to start noticing, like, what happened to this girl? What happened to this guy? You don't even have to tell them. We think, oh, we got to pray or put a bumper sticker or put a cross necklace on. Then they'll know. No. Just work with intensity and integrity and intentionality unto the Lord. They'll know and they'll ask eventually. Groeschel ends his story. He's preaching at his church, Life Church in Oklahoma, and he says after one of his sermons, this guy comes up and he's a guy who just he said, I just gave my life to Christ. He could tell the guy had just really been moved that day. And he's telling Craig, thank you. It's just such a thing. I just gave my life to Christ. And then he looks at Craig and goes, you don't recognize me, do you? Craig goes, well, you look a little familiar, but no, I don't think I know you. He goes, I was one of the kids you coached in tennis that summer. And Craig said, he looked at him and goes, you got my racket, don't you? He goes, no, I don't have your racket, but I was there the day you gave that racket to that kid. And he said, I was sitting here today and I thought, a man who would keep his word over a tennis racket is probably a man who you can trust his word when he preaches. He goes, that's a big reason I gave my life to Jesus today, because I know what you were preaching is true. See, if you have integrity, it's everything. And if you don't, it's everything. And I would say it's true about intensity and intentionality as well. What would happen? Think about this. What would happen this year, this season, this fall, if you and I and Troy campus and, Clinton, if Kensington people got a vision to wake up Tuesday morning, go to the work as unto the Lord with intensity, integrity, intentionality, and many other things. But we just said, this year, I'm going to honor God the way I treat people every day in my neighborhood and my workplace. What would happen? I'll tell you what would happen. God would use our workplace, our labor, to lead people to himself through you and me. That's a vision worth getting up Tuesday morning and getting in your car and saying, I am so excited it's Tuesday. Let's go get this done. Let's go work for Jesus. Now, don't say that to the people at your workplace. Just do that, and they'll know. Father God, I pray, even as we sing these words before we walk out here, Lord, I pray that what we sing here would be what we actually do. Lord, as we sing, show me who you are, God, you would show us who you are. As we sing, fill me with your heart, God, you would fill us. And Lord, as we sing, lead me in love to those around me. God, that is our prayer. Show me, fill me, lead me. Show me, fill me, lead me. God, if we want to work, we want to honor you the way we do our jobs and the way we treat the people that we do our jobs around. And God, I pray that you would use us to lead people to you. Let us be your light today. In Jesus' name, amen. Let me invite you, stand up. Let's sing this song. It's a beautiful bridge. It's really a prayer, and I pray it's our prayer before we go out of here.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Sing out holy. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you, yeah, yeah. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, there is no one like. Sing it out. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your love and lead me in your love to those around me.
You know, here's a idea for your drive to work tomorrow or Tuesday or whenever it is, or if you're walking across the street to a neighbor. Here's an idea. Do what I did today as I drove to work. Now today was a little longer drive than normal. I usually drive about 10 minutes, 8 minutes. from Rochester, but today I drove from Higgins Lake, so 2 hours and 24 minutes. And guess what I did? I sang that. I put the Pat Barrett CD in, and not CD, but digital connection. And I sang what we're gonna sing today multiple times, plus a lot of other songs. But guess what happened? My whole heart changed. Whole heart changed. It's amazing what happens when you go vertical, it affects the horizontal in every area. And I was ready to bring some intensity to this message today because God gives you that when you say, okay, I gotta stop the routine of not going to work the way. I'm gonna start a new routine. I'm gonna start right here, and I'm gonna bring that to my home and my neighborhood and my workplace and my church and everything I do. Oh my goodness, that will change the way you live every single day. I said 3 habits to transform your job. 3 habits to transform your life and your legacy and other people's lives. So here's the thing. You're gonna walk out and we're gonna decide, what are you gonna do today and tomorrow, next week? Just take one day at a time. A little small habit will have big dividends. So just start with one little baby step and watch God meet you right there and transform your life and others' life through you. And if you need help, or you need somebody to pray with you, our prayer team that's always up here up front at the end of the service, just come forward. They'd love to take whatever you're carrying and help you take it to the Father and walk out of here free and walk out into a new life. And then I'll see you again back here Wednesday night. Hopefully you'll be back for midweek. It's gonna be a great night. And then next week we start to color dishes. All right, have a great week. See you then. Bye-bye.